Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. It's been a little while since I've made my last video, and sorry about that. I thought to make it up to you, I might make you some biscuits. I have made this recipe on the channel before. You can go back if you want to find that original video. It's been several years ago. I've gotten some new equipment that has made this recipe a little bit easier to make. I'll explain that as I go. But this is the biscuit recipe that I make pretty much every Saturday. It's just kind of a tradition in our house that my parents passed down to us kids. They're light, they're fluffy, they're delicious. Give them a shot. Let me know in the comments how you like them. I'm going to leave some links below. If you want to try out some of the products that I use here, those are associate links with Amazon, so I do get a little bit for every purchase made through those links. So with no further ado, let's make some biscuits. So the first thing you're going to do is get your oven preheating. I set mine to 450 degrees. You're going to want your self-rising flour. You're going to want salt, just a pinch. You're going to want some baking soda, also a pinch of that. Don't put too much. Cold Crisco, cold butter, and obviously cold buttermilk. You're going to need a measuring cup, a tablespoon, a dough chopper thing, this bowl, of course, to mix everything in, a fork and a knife. I use this scraper to kind of clean up afterwards more than anything else. You're going to need a biscuit cutter, obviously, some sort of round biscuit cutter, and a sheet pan, a baking sheet, something that you're going to use to actually cook it. The first thing you're going to add is your flour. The default recipe that I have always used is 4 cups, but these days I usually double that, so I put 8 cups. But just keep that measurement in mind, whatever you decide to use. Get your flour in, get your baking soda, and your salt. And then just use your little dough mixing tool here to kind of stir everything up. Just kind of blend the dry ingredients there. Next, however many cups of flour you added, that's how many tablespoons of Crisco you're going to add, shortening, that you're going to add. So if you added 4 cups of flour, you're going to want 4 tablespoons of Crisco. The same goes for butter. So if you did 4 cups of flour, you're going to do 4 tablespoons of butter. So that'll give you 4 tablespoons of butter, 4 tablespoons of the Crisco. You're going to use the same dough tool to chop the butter and the Crisco into very small pieces, kind of a crumb mixture. This dough chopper is actually one of the new things that I got. This is the old one that I used. The tines on it are very flimsy. They just kind of squish together. They're round, and they just had a hard time cutting up that butter. The more rigid one, that's kind of a little more like blades, works so much better. And I'll leave a link to that below. Pour in your buttermilk. This is just, again, it's going to be something you have to figure out as you go as far as how much you put in there. You don't want it to be wet, but you want everything to be kind of sticky after you've mixed in the buttermilk. So start with a little less than you think you need, mix it up, add more if you need it, just till it's kind of a sticky mess. Put your flour down on the counter and then scrape your dough out on top of it. Make sure it's coated really well with the flour. Roll it up into a ball. I usually kind of fold it over 3 or 4 times. You don't want to do it too many times. Just get it well coated with flour and kind of roll it out so that the top, the best way I know how to describe it is so that the top is smooth. It doesn't have any cracks in it, any splits in the dough on the top. Because obviously if you have a split in the top, that's going to show up on one of your biscuits. Just flatten it out with the palm of your hand. Make sure your palm has some powder or some flour on it so it doesn't stick to the dough. Pat it out nice and even. Get your biscuit cutter and start cutting out your biscuits. If you are going to place them right next to each other, pushed up against each other on your pan, you might want to kind of roll the biscuit in the flour before you stick it onto the pan, just so they don't stick together. If you separate them, they do cook a little faster, a little more evenly. Then you don't necessarily have to flour the edges because they're not going to stick together anyway. After you cut the first biscuits, you just roll up the remaining dough, pat it back out, cut your next biscuits, and you just keep doing that until you run out of dough. And once you have them all on the pan, you want to go through and just press down the middle of each one with your thumb. Basically, this kind of forces the edges to rise a little more, makes them rise nice and evenly all the way around, and kind of rise straight up instead of kind of off to the side. Stick them in your oven. I currently cook mine for about 20 to 25 minutes. That is pretty long for a biscuit recipe, but I think just for the volume of biscuits that I'm cooking, that's what it needs to cook all the way through. And that's all there is to it. Timer goes off, check them. They should be starting to brown a little bit on the top. The bottoms, depending on the temperature you cooked them at, the pan you're using, they may turn out like this, nice and browned on the bottom. Slice them, put a little butter in them, and you're ready to go. All right, I hope you enjoyed the biscuits. Let me know if you try this out for yourself. If you haven't already, like the video, subscribe if you'd like to see more of my stuff. I mostly do kind of DIY projects around the house, computers, woodworking, that sort of thing. I hope to get back into more regular uploads, but I appreciate you tuning in. And again, hope you enjoy the biscuits. We'll see you around.